Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 200 and I think it's 78.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy ketos.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
Yes, welcome. If you're new here, please say hi down below.
Now here on Two Crazy Ketos, we do different things like recipe videos and we do product reviews. We talk about various keto topics, and every Monday we go live on Keto Beyond the Couch because life exists beyond the couch.
You can find us in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X.
And we have a website, which is twocrazyketos.com, and that's where you're going to find all of our different recipes. Now, we do upload at least 5 new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And don't forget to hit the little bell icon, and that way every single time we're coming to you live from beautiful Arcadia, Florida, you'll be alerted to it.
We moved. No, I'm just kidding.
That was quick.
That was really quick.
Where I wish we could skip past all the home renovation and get right to the living.
Scoot over a little bit.
Should I scooch?
Yeah.
So,
no, what I want is like, I want to just close already so that we could get going.
Right.
Because
you know how that is.
Well, it's not just of like, I'm excited. There's a lot to do.
Right. And I'm that person.
And now I'm just like spinning down that spiral of starting to go, oh my gosh, we got to do this. And oh my gosh, we got to do that.
Yeah. I'm that person that's like, give me the things to do list and let me begin checking off the things I need to do.
Yeah. Cause my to-do list is just getting longer and longer.
But you know what?
I feel like that with keto.
I feel like the Lord sometimes just slows us down.
Yeah.
We have a pace that sometimes can cause us to trip over ourselves. So sometimes slowing down is a good thing.
Well, it's the same thing with keto. So people get started on keto and they watch a lot of videos, and we are just as guilty because we add to this problem.
Get that keto doctorate.
So, when I got started on keto more than 7 years ago, there wasn't as many videos out there.
Right.
There weren't as many keto experts out there. So it was pretty much just do keto. And there weren't a lot of keto products either.
Right.
So now you come into it. And so I slowly evolved, right? I started off with, I just cut out the pasta, the grains, the sugar, the carbs, starches.
Yeah, it was
like
a slow move.
Eventually, we went to eating like really good eggs, pasture-raised eggs. And I remember the day I went to you and said, we're going to buy pasture-raised eggs. And it was 79 cents a dozen for regular eggs in Aldi, or $5 a dozen. And you were like, oh no, we're not.
I remember the first Christmas when we decided we were going to invest in glass Tupperware instead of plastic. Again, like you're saying, it was a very slow
process.
Now it's
people they want to jump into it. I want to lose weight. And so it's okay. So I'm going to skip keto. I'm going to go right to carnivore. I'm going to do OMAD. I'm going to cut out all the seed oils, and all good things. But to try to do it all at once can be overwhelming.
Well,
and then you quit.
I think that unfortunately the community sometimes can come at people with a megaphone where someone thinks to themselves, you know what? I don't think that bread or sugar is doing me any favors, and I'm going to start by cutting that out. And they just dip a toe in sometimes to the interwebs. And it's like, oh my gosh, people will be like, what do you mean you're not directly biting your food off of a live cow?
Right.
You're not interested in being healthy hard enough.
I always say that modern technology and the internet is the greatest thing that's ever occurred. And I think sometimes the worst thing.
Double-edged sword.
Cell phones, amazing.
Right.
But also they destroy families.
Yeah.
Because you go out to eat and everyone's looking down, and you have things like Facebook, which causes people to cheat because they're looking up their old
high school.
and things like that.
Oh.
And then you look at the internet, and sometimes it's great. You can do more repairs yourself because you can research. I mean, listen, I would not be able to do some of the stuff that we're going to do if it wasn't for YouTube and watching people who are already doing it.
But you still shouldn't be perming your own hair. And I think that sometimes
we try to do that.
YouTube can sometimes give us a false sense of what we could and should be doing.
And why are we in Arcadia? We've got the RV. We've got a 1,000 Trails membership, which is a camping membership that allows us to stay at thousands of parks around the country for free. And so there's one 15 minutes from the property that we're buying. So we decided to come up here and try to get going on things.
Vendors.
Figure out vendors, figure out where we live. What is the traffic light? we probably went backwards when that. We should have looked at some of that stuff ahead of
Figure
time.
that out first.
We've learned that there is no breeze here. So it is super hot. I mean, of course, the whole country's in a heat wave right now, but over 100 degrees with no ocean breeze.
Right.
A little different than us. So we have made the decision that literally day one we buy the house, we're having an above ground pool installed so that we can cool off.
Not cabinets, not a shower, not flooring, not walls.
Well, we need some way to cool off because we don't have an ocean. We don't have a pool. There's no community pool.
We're doing all the demo ourselves.
So we spent 2 days driving around trying to find a pool. And we only wanted to buy an above ground pool where we could put hands on it, not buying it on the internet. We really want to do it local vendors. Like I need to buy a tractor and
a Swiss Army tractor.
It may be cheaper for me to drive all the way to Georgia or Mississippi to buy the tractor, but I want to support my local vendors. And it's funny, we'll get into Keto Beyond the Couch in a minute, but yesterday Rachel was reading a magazine about local farmers, because Florida, especially where we're moving to, is really farming town. Like where we're moving to, there's two things here: is you grow oranges, they also grow tomatoes and blueberries, and then cattle. This is cattle country here, like probably more than Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that because we have this influx of produce and blueberries and other things from other countries, it's hurting the local farmer because those countries are underselling the local farmers.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So they were talking about how we didn't have like storms last year with that impacted this year's crops for blueberries. And Florida blueberries, they pop pretty early in the year. It's not until about like April 20th do you start to see the influx of blueberries coming in from other countries. But they were saying how we were doing great. We didn't have a lot of birds eating crops up because you didn't lose any crops because of the weather last year.
Winter.
That you didn't have like a lot of loss. So you came in, like our local farmers came in really strong with their blueberry crops and we're doing fantastic. But they're like, you could see from April 17th to April 20th of this year, when you started pulling in all of those very, very more inexpensive like crops from other countries, it immediately produced a 16-year low for prices for our local farmers. And I thought it was interesting because a lot of the farmers had to leave tons of blueberries right still on the bush.
It was cheaper for them to take a loss and not pick it.
I know.
Than it was to pick it and try to sell it cheap.
I know. And it broke your heart.
Yeah.
You know?
So to sum it all up, support your local
buy
farmer,
local.
support your local businesses. Try not to buy from other countries. I know finances and things like that,
yeah,
but
especially when you can.
When you're looking at meat, when you're looking at vegetables, support your local farmers. So welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. If you are new here, Keto Beyond the Couch is all about our subscribers. We do this every Monday at 10 a.m. as much as possible. We do it live, whether we're on the road or we are at home in our studio. And what we like to do is celebrate wins and answer questions and comments that we found on our social media from the last week. We try to do this live. When we're doing it live, we're not going to address the chat too much, especially when we're on the road, because I don't have a special thing, an extra monitor with me. So hold off on your questions in the chat until like the last 10 or 15 minutes of the stream, or you can use the super chat function, which is the $ down in the chat window. That will highlight our screen and we can answer your question right away. I want to start off with, usually we talk about whatever the title for today's Keto Beyond the Couch is, and we talk about it later on in the stream, because then people watch the whole thing.
Right.
But today's title was, what should you eat when you're in a hospital?
Yes.
And this comes from my mom, because she's been in a hospital.
We can say, praise God, she's home. Like, I want to cry, because there were so many times last week where
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Yeah, it was
my sister didn't think she was going to make it. I mean, I probably got 10 hours sleep between Monday and Friday last week, because I was always on pins and needles in the middle of the night. Like, I always had the ringer off on my phone. So if you ever call me and I don't answer, it's probably because the ringer is off. So if you don't leave a message, you'll never get a call back, because I don't answer numbers that I don't know. And I don't call back numbers that I don't know unless you leave me a message. But I always have my ringer off, because disturbing, especially if we're hanging out, and there's certain people, it'll override that. But I kept my ringer on all night long because I'm just waiting for that call from my sister. And my sister loves my mom. She lives with my mom and she's taking care of her, and God bless her because she does more than I could ever do.
Yes. Amazing. We love you, Terry.
But I think my sister was more worried about me.
She kept texting and saying, like, how is Joe doing?
Yeah.
And I mean, and that was.
And it's hard because I'm not there.
Well, and that was her like being all day with mom. And then sometimes, you know, you would leave because you have to leave. You can't sleep overnight in a hotel. And she would literally like in the hospital and like go sleep in her car and then like be there in the morning. And one of the reasons why she was trying to be there for every waking moment is whenever she'd walk away, the hospital would try to feed mom, even in ICU, when she's supposed to be like, you know, what's a clear liquid diet. And it was just sugar.
I'm just going to show it. So if you're new here, maybe in the last week, you didn't know, my mom was rushed to the hospital last Sunday night with internal bleeding in her colon. And a lot of things that have aided to that we have found out. But the bleeding would stop. They tried to scope her. They're like, she's good. They fed her regular food. The bleeding started again. And it was just back and forth. I think she ended up getting like 6 or 7 units of blood. I mean, she dropped down below 50% of her blood like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So they finally say, okay, we're going to have you on like a liquid diet for a while. And this is some of the food that they've given my mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we can get it to come up.
There you go.
We've got Clear and Sure, Orange Water Icy.
Which was the first 4 ingredients were water, sugar, maltodextrin, and corn syrup.
Yep. Then we have like cranberry juice cocktail. There was orange juice. And then there was also sugar jello that had more than 40 grams of sugar in it.
Yeah.
And that's what they're feeding us in the hospital.
In ICU.
In ICU. And every time she ate it, her blood pressure skyrocketed.
Absolutely. And we would see the bleed again. That was what was really frightening. So Terry is bringing in keto chow. She's bringing in electrolytes, daily minerals, that sort of thing. She's bringing in bone broth that they've made at home, so she knows what's in it, and bringing that in.
She's having now good bowel movements, no blood.
Well, she was able to go home.
She was able to go home.
I mean, that's huge.
And so here's the thing is, if you're in a hospital, refuse the food.
That's really hard. I know.
I know it's hard.
Yeah.
But you are the ultimate person in charge of your health care. Okay. And so you can be like, I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that. I mean, I know we had Randy when he had his leg amputated and he was like, I'm not eating this.
No.
And if you're not going to give me the right food, I'm going to blast all over the news that you are denying
a one-legged veteran proper nutrition.
Proper nutrition. And so you have to be diligent.
Yeah.
And thank you, God, that my sister was there to be like, she's not eating this.
Terry is the hero of last week. I really believe that we still have mom because she was willing to be an advocate for mom, because it is hard. And, you know, mom came from a time where it's like, you don't waste food. And so that was hard too. It's hard.
By the way, all that food they were giving her, no protein in it.
Nothing, right? Like, what is that? How is that going to rebuild
85-year-old woman with no protein
who's lost so much blood and
in bed for a week, so she's losing muscle.
So when it was so important for Terry to be there and to help, you know, when mom would say, I hate to waste this, Terry would be like, it was a waste the moment they packaged this. You do not have to take in something that is already garbage. And you know what? The fact that it's here in your room means we can throw it out and it's not in somebody else's room. So I think she brought a lot of peace to mom as well, that it was okay to say no, and it is okay to throw something away.
So John said, can you customize meals in a hospital? Haven't been there in several years. I remember having choices, but I was choosing pizza back then. You can, but sometimes it's a fight, you know, and you have to be willing to, I don't want to say lie, but what's a good word?
I'm allergic to it, or I have a really bad, I can't have sugar.
I'm sensitive to that. I can't have sugar.
Weird that you have to say that in a hospital.
Right. I mean, so not lie, but really like maybe
present it. I want eggs
in a certain way. So just like, you know, I will say I'm allergic to this. I can't have it.
I will have a bad reaction.
I'm going to have a bad reaction.
Yeah.
but you have to be willing to have the fight, and many of us are not willing to have the fight. My mom was not willing to have the fight, and then she would have people be like, well, she's a doctor, she should know, but she was an oncologist.
No, she was a professional doctor, and what they're training doctors to do about nutrition is a heart healthy,
Seed
ADA
oil.
recommended, like,
Right.
why is anything made with wonky seed oils and they're
Right.
serving it to you in the hospital?
And then fortunately she knew enough about some of the things. They tried to give her a medication. She's already got low sodium levels and having issues with blood pressure, and they tried to give her a medication, and she's like, wait a second, that's going to tank my sodium levels, then are already low.
And she's
and
like,
she was
no,
able to like refuse
but
that.
you have to be a doctor for 50
But
years.
fortunately, like, she's doing Redmond and she's using the Keto Chow electrolytes, and it's all like everything. As soon as she started using Keto Chow and the electrolytes and stuff, everything went back normal.
Right.
So.
Even when it came to, we talk about, bowel movements and everything went back to normal. So like nutrition really is so important.
Okay, let's jump right into our first subscriber of the week. This one is going to be from Teresa.
Hi, Teresa Ann.
And said, this weekend, we had friends out in the boat with us. Both are huge fitness buffs, always have been. The wife was telling me I need to get into the gym for proper workouts. And I explained, I don't need a gym. She reminded me that we all lose muscle tone as we get older. Absolutely true. Once you turn 50, you lose 1% per year. Flash forward an hour or so, we jumped off the boat and we drifted away from the boat. She kept asking me if I need a life jacket. I was fine. I'm a very strong swimmer. Then she challenged me to race to the boat. I went right past her and to the other side of the boat before she even hit the ladder. So much for having to go to the gym to get proper workouts. I think I shocked her with my strength. Last year, I needed a boost or a pull to get a ladder to swim platform. This year, I outswam her and climbed the ladder without even thinking about it.
They say, our son used to tell us all the time, abs are made in the kitchen. And there's a lot that is said, like, can you build upon proper nutrition? So like, you've started with like what you eat makes a huge difference. Then can you build on that with more exercise? Yes, that is what I am attempting to do now. Like, it was nice to lean out last year, and now I'm working on strength because I need muscles. I need strength, not for any type of vanity, but because we're going to be carrying a lot of stuff and I'm going to have to get farm strong. So yeah, it's interesting that how your core, you talk about building that core, the core of a healthy lifestyle and strength is in what you're eating. That's a great place to begin.
Next one we have is from Jen.
Hey, Jen.
On my Facebook memories page, I have a picture of my new bathing suit from 2013. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
I cried when I saw it.
Oh, Jen. Look at you, beautiful young lady. Oh my gosh. Like, wow. I so wish that we would keep more of clothes like this so that you can see, no kidding, the fit difference, the body contouring, what has happened. Like, you can have eyes on it. It is plain to see. What an amazing change. Way to go. And congratulations.
First comment. Oh, that's Jen's picture.
I can't stop looking at it. That's awesome.
First comment we have is from Chrissy.
Hey, Chrissy.
So the Dash ice cream maker has arrived. When I use Keto Chow, do I just use the whole packet? I'm open to any ice cream recipes not using Keto Chow also.
Sure.
Okay, so if you want to make Keto Chow ice cream, whether you're making it in the Dash, you're making it in the Cuisinart, you're making it in a Vitamix, you're making it in your creamy. What you want to do is make a regular Keto Chow. Now, the Vitamix is a little different. We have 2 different videos on how to do that, because that you're going to be using ice instead of water. But if you're going to make it in the Dash, or if you're going to make it in a Cuisinart, like the traditional ice cream maker, even a compressor one, like we have a compressor machine.
It's a good one.
Which I'm going to sell.
Yeah.
Because we got to downsize.
And we need money for lumber and things.
Yes. So what you want to do is make a regular Keto Chow. When you make that regular Keto Chow, especially if you're going to like put it in the whatchamacallit, in the Dash, make it the day before, because, or at least an hour before you're going to put it in there, because that allows the flavors to come through for more. I have found with keto chow, the next day it's always better.
Like lasagna.
Even if you're making it in the creamy, if you really want to get the best flavor in the creamy, because a lot of times you're going to notice when you turn it into ice cream, sometimes the flavor gets more muted. You will get a much better flavor. You will get a much better experience if you make that keto chow the day before and then freeze it.
Right.
So make it, put it in your thing, but don't freeze it until the next day. Because by doing that, you allow all the flavors to really come through. Keto chow is always better the next day.
It's hard to wait for it, but it is.
But just make a whole bunch of them, and
yeah.
then when you, so if you have a bunch made, okay, now I want one as an ice cream in my dash. You take that and then you put it in your dash. Now your dash may not take the whole container, but you still want to have a full keto chow, even if you do it in more than one batch, or if you only make a half a batch at once. Do it that way.
I was going to say, if you are a meal prepping person, which is good, that can really help you stay on track. And you're like, this is how many I need for the week as far as keto chow goes. My recommendation is do as much as you need plus one more. And that will get you a tasty keto chow when you have to roll into that next week and you have to make a big fresh batch of it all.
Okay, there is a really good question. I just happened to glance down and I saw.
You're not supposed to look down there.
From Adriana. Yeah,
hey,
but
Adriana.
I can't see it over here. And so she wants to know, what is the difference between Greek yogurt and Bulgarian yogurt? Which one is better? Thanks, blessings. They're both good. The difference is really the different cultures and bacteria that they're using. So it gives a slightly different profile. If you can find a really good Bulgarian yogurt, sometimes it's got less carbs because what ends up happening is the cultures and the bacteria eat up even more sugar. Now, the best way to make it is actually eat it is to actually make it at home yourself, because then you can discard the whey and can.
That's right.
And you can also use Fairlife milk, which starts off with 50% less sugar. So the thing is that when you look at yogurt, so for example, this is another really good one to do skyr. Now, skyr is very much like Greek yogurt, very thick. To me, it's got a sweeter taste, tastes more like sour cream. In fact, I've been using it as sour cream. So when you do skyr, it's the same thing. When you look on this, for example, this is going to say that there's 4 servings in here and that there's 7 total carbohydrates in a serving. But that's based on the milk that they're using.
Right.
Okay. The problem is this has, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the different live cultures that are in here. They put these live cultures in here. They are feeding off of the sugar that's in the milk. So since you have active live cultures, they're always eating that sugar.
How much have they eaten? You don't know.
You don't know, because so there's most likely not 7 total carbohydrates in a serving. That's what they have on the label. But by the time you get to it,
it's
there's
less.
Probably significantly less, because the cultures are eating the sugar.
So
we can't measure that.
So for some people, they're going to look at that carbohydrate count for a serving and be like, 7 total carbs. There's no way that I can incorporate yogurt of any kind into my keto lifestyle. But that's not true if you're listening to what we're saying right here, because it's very different. And we need those live cultures. Like we need that for good gut biome.
Now, one of the reasons 7 total carbs, why? Because they are starting this off with, if you look at the ingredients, cultured pasteurized skim milk. Now that's the only ingredient.
Right.
Skim milk has more sugar than whole milk.
Yeah.
And so if you make it at home, you get to control that. So if you use Fairlife milk, which already has 50% of the sugar of regular milk, and then you add in your cultures, you're already starting off with much less sugar and carbs in that milk.
Yeah.
So in the end, when you're done, you end up with like a 1 carb yogurt. And you can do that with skyr too. So instead of using the pasteurized skim milk, you use Fairlife whole milk. And we have videos on this. Instead of using fahe or a Greek yogurt or whatever, you just use
a spoonful of this.
And it's the same thing. And you end up with a delicious yogurt at much less carbs. So, but any of them are good. Some of it comes down to the thickness, like regular yogurt is much thinner. Greek yogurt is thicker. It comes down to the straining process, what you like is tasting, and the cultures as well.
I'm like Chris Bear. I want to strain the fool out of it because I like it just like so thick. It's like redonkulous thick. Some people do not like it as thick as I enjoy it. So preference.
JJ said, I only have Super One in Walmart to buy groceries here, and the amount of yogurt they sell is supposedly keto friendly or low sugar, just pays to service with the label. Extremely frustrating. Most Walmarts sell Fairlife.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. That's where a lot of
about.
times we buy it.
Next one is from Nancy.
Hey, Nancy.
So thankful. I had to pick because there were about 8 posts on this between people,
how nice.
Subscribers. Nancy said, so thankful for my keto friends. Richard and Andrea came to visit me the whole way from California.
How nice.
We met on the January 2KK getaway cruise, and I'm so blessed to call them my friends. So glad Matt and Sarah Joy live so close to me and was able to join us. This was my first 2KK getaway cruise, and I met so many amazing people.
Wow.
I never imagined so many people who really care about each other. If there is any way that you can go on one of these cruises, it will change your life. God is good, and I pray for the blessings that I can share and receive this December cruise.
Wow, that is so nice. Like,
put this away.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Nancy, because, you know, we can say, gosh, it was really a magical, wonderful time, and we're so thankful that it was on our hearts to do this cruise and to start doing these like meetups on the ocean. And I'm
on whose hearts?
Yours first. But
you said I was crazy.
I definitely caught the bug, and I'm very, very thankful that I did, because I do believe that when you have that like concentrated time, not just like passing in a day, but that you have like several days to really have breakfast and lunch and dinner and share experiences and sit down and talk without being rushed. It really is a magical thing. And I love seeing all of the friendships growing all over the country because they've met on a 2KK cruise. It's like, yeah, Rich and Andrew are like in California.
Love them.
Nancy in Florida.
I'm actually very upset about this right now.
Because you wanted to hang out too?
I'm just finding out that Richard was here and we're 2.5 hours away.
I just knew that we weren't going to be able to, so I didn't even tell you, because Nancy gave me a heads up that they were coming, but I knew you would not be able to focus.
Richard has offered to come help us with the house. He's a contractor.
He's such an amazing guy.
I'm taking him up on that offer.
Right,
I'll pay for your flights and everything.
But it really is a blessing to see you guys all get together.
Now, it's not too late. We do still have some cabins left for the December 2KK getaway cruise. It's December 8th through the 14th. Sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, 6 nights on Oasis of the Seas. There is a link down below, or you can email me at 2kktravel@gmail.com. We also have 2 planned for next year. I haven't announced them yet. We're going to be putting that up later this week. One in March. I'm still going back and forth on which ship I want for March. And then there is another one. This one is a definite. It's for my 55th birthday, which would be, it's sailing, I think, December 4th of next year. That's a 4-night cruise.
Yeah.
But super excited about both of them because we love hanging out with community. And the one next December, by the way, is super cheap.
I love super cheap.
Super cheap.
I love cheap. That's really important.
On a good
to
ship.
Us.
It's on. I think it's on Freedom of the Seas.
It's really important to us that we try to keep the expenses down. We know that it is hard for people to go on a vacation. So we try to make it as easy as possible by making it as affordable as possible.
How about inside cabin? It's like $750 for 2 people for 4 nights. All of your food is included.
That's
like, you can't go to a keto conference for that.
No,
right?
You can't.
$350 a person, $400 a person,
crazy.
Including all of your food for 4 nights and entertainment and hanging out with community.
Now, the next keto conference we will be going to is the Keto Orlando Summit, happening the first week of August. And it's not too late if you're interested in meeting up with us in the Orlando area. We're going to be at the Keto Orlando Summit speaking, and then we're going to be going across the state to Auburndale,
about an hour away,
where we will be at the finale rally for RV Unplugged Season 2. Super excited about that as well. And they do have day tickets where you could come for just like the finale rally, like when they show the final episode, and it's
$20,
food
including your food.
Yeah, awesome.
Excuse me, great deal. I forgot to tell you, we will be hosting the gala at the Keto Orlando Summit.
Nice.
She asked us yesterday. I do want to let everybody know, though, if you are coming, just to let you know, we will be leaving Keto Orlando Summit on Saturday. So we'll be there for Thursday night, Friday, and then part of the day Saturday, but then we have to head over to the finale rally because we are under contract to be there. So we'll probably only be at the Orlando Summit for half the day on Saturday. So if you're coming and you want to hang out and stuff, make sure you're grabbing us on Friday.
Yeah.
Next one we have, is from Jeannie. Let me put it back up.
Hey, Jeannie.
Said, someone here mentioned using the Dash My Pint ice cream maker. Do you use Keto Chow? Do you make a full Keto Chow shake? Yes, we already answered that, and pour it in the maker and have leftover shake. Do you use less water to fit it in the pint? How much and what type of fat do you use? Do you know if you can purchase extra pint bowls? I don't know if you can purchase
For the Dash?
For the Dash. If you have a creamy, you can. So I put this up even though it's similar to the other one because of the fat source. People always ask me. My personal opinion is when it comes to the ice cream, the more fat, the better. It's going to taste better. It's going to be smoother. It's not going to be ice milk, which is what I grew up with, where they use skim milk to make ice cream because it was healthier, right? Even though it was loaded with sugar. So my recommendation is 3 to 4 tablespoons of melted butter, or use 3 to 4 ounces of heavy cream. I would not use less. I know people do. Stop being afraid of fat. Not eating enough fat is one of the things that causes a stall. If you're eating high protein, low fat, for an extended period of time, you hit a stall, and it's very, very difficult to get out of that because you're basically under eating.
Well, and think about it. There are quite a few fat soluble vitamins. That means that, like, if you're not unlocking those vitamins with enough fat, like, you're missing out. It's great to be able to say, like, I've consumed all of these vitamins. Are they bioavailable to you? Are you eating them in a manner in which you can actually utilize those things?
And a Keto Chow does need 10 grams of fat to get those vitamins. That's the minimum. But you really should, it's supposed to be a meal.
It is.
It's supposed to be a meal. So if you use 4 tablespoons of melted butter or 4 ounces of heavy cream, that's making your meal 500 calories, which is perfect because nobody should be eating less than 15 to 1600 calories a day. Nobody.
Nobody?
That's from our friend Matt. Shout out Matt from Matt's RV Reviews.
The best pickleball player in the world.
Next one's from Alyssa.
Hey, Alyssa.
Said, I need your best advice, tips, and tricks for getting back on track after being off the rails for a long period of time. I've been off keto for about a month, and it's really bad. I feel like my eating is worse than it's ever been. I'm thinking about snacking on meat all day long, like every hour. So I don't have the urge to eat anything sweet or carby. I know once I get past the first few days, I will be okay. It's just hard getting there while in the midst of extreme cravings. Okay, so I think you're on the right track. I'm going to give you 2 personal opinions, 2 recommendations. Number 1, if you've been off of keto and you're trying to come back and you're having a hard time because you want to be snacky, that's a lot of the carbs leaving, you're used to it, do what you're doing. I know we talk about don't snack and you should only eat 2 or 3 meals a day. And every time you eat, you're spiking insulin. That is all true. But back to what we were talking about at the very beginning about how, like, not diving into everything at once, it's the same thing here. When somebody comes to us and says, hey, I want to start keto, I don't give them macros. I don't tell them to do all of these different things and intermittent fast. What we tell them is we're going to start off for the first 2 to 4 weeks. You are just going to not eat pasta grains, sugar, starches, and different types of carbs. You're not going to count anything. You're going to eat as many times a day as you want because you need to get rid of the cravings. You need to get yourself fat adapted. So Alyssa, what I want you to do is keep it. If it takes snacking on meat and bacon all day long to get rid of the cravings, do that.
Good transition because it's better than what you were eating.
You can't stay there. You can't live there. But the more you do that, the easier it's going to become to narrow it back down to 2 or 3 meals. Now, what I'm going to say is what you need to do is you need to really avoid anything sweet. So if you're struggling right now, there should be nothing sweet in your life.
Not stevia, not monk fruit.
Not stevia, not maybe a couple of drops in your coffee or something like that, but avoid soft drinks, even diet soft drinks. I would say avoid Keto Chow. I would say avoid Keto Brick. For at least 2 or 4 weeks, because as you're eating that sweet stuff, it's going to trigger those sweet cravings again. So for those first 2 or 4 weeks, if you want to snack on bacon, snack on beef jerky, snack on things that are going to be good for you, hard-boiled eggs.
Now, I'm going to recommend, if you're going through hell, keep going. Yeah. And I hope that for Alyssa is sharing and being so amazing and vulnerable. And thank you for your comment, Alyssa, so that we can bring this to the community. But if you are right now in the middle of summer and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I've got a family reunion coming up. I have a summer activity coming up. There's a potluck that I'm going to be attending. And you are even contemplating going off keto for this thing. Can I redirect you to Alyssa's comment? I would say that this is something we hear over and over again. I never meet someone who, or very rarely meet someone who wants to celebrate the fact that they took a time out from keto. Usually they get off track and it's for longer than they ever anticipated. They get very frustrated with going off. Like they chose it, they decided to like take a time out for whatever reason, but it wasn't the reward that they were truly looking for. So if you're like, hey, I'm about to go into a season where I could take a time out from keto, my advice is don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
There, in my opinion, there's no reason to ever go off of keto.
Because it's hard
now,
to get back.
With that being said, like if you have people who are working with Jonathan and he has them eating a sweet potato, that's not going off of keto. That's a whole food.
Right.
When I say going off of keto, going back and eating potato chips, going back and eating the standard American diet, eating cake and cookies. I don't care. I disagree with Dr. Berry on this. I love him, but I disagree with him. I don't think you should be going off of keto for your birthday or anniversary.
Unless you know you can handle it.
My opinion, you should never. There's enough keto-friendly options.
You can make
it
work.
If you want to have a cupcake or a cookie or something like that on your birthday, eat
Purchase
a keto-friendly one. And there is no reason to ever go back to the standard American diet, ever.
Just because, not because we're like, it's bad or evil if you do that. It's more because we care about your frustration level.
Right. Next one is, I read Nancy's. It is from JJ.
Hey, JJ.
I got some kimchi today. The kind that I got came in a refrigerator jar, or this can this be heated up?
Eat it cold.
Yes, but don't.
Yeah, eat it cold.
You can heat anything up.
Right.
The advantage of kimchi, the advantage of pickles, the advantage of yogurt, sauerkraut, is that it is a fermented food. Fermented foods are good for
They're
us.
alive.
They're good for your gut biome, for your gut bacteria. You need fermented foods once in a while. The problem is fermented foods don't like heat because there's cultures. What makes pasteurized or ultra pasteurized milk ultra pasteurized is heat. So, for example, when you make yogurt, if you were to use raw milk or non-pasteurized milk to make yogurt, you have to heat it all the way up to like 185 degrees to kill any bacteria that's in there, any cultures that are in there, so that you can then add the live cultures for the yogurt. Because if you don't, then they're competing for the sugar. So when you heat something up, you would be killing that live bacteria and cultures that you are looking for. That's also why you should be buying it cold. If you're buying sauerkraut, if you're buying pickles and things like that, don't buy the jars that are on. So if pickles are delicious, sauerkraut. We love pickles. But if you buy canned sauerkraut, canned pickles that are not in the refrigerated section, that's not a fermented food.
Right.
Because they pasteurize it. They heat it up to can it, and now there's no more live cultures. So you want to buy from the refrigerated section. So you can heat it up for taste, but you would not be getting any of the benefits of having live bacteria. Next one is Mel.
Hey, Mel.
Kelly Hogan's latest video explains why keto never stuck with me until 2 years ago. I didn't have anyone else around me who was doing it, except for my family, who only ate what I served them, so they weren't choosing to do it. Mm-hmm. What's different this time? Well, part of it is I have a bigger why. But the other huge difference is that now I'm in this group and Dr. Berry's group. One of the things that Kelly said was that if you have 5 interactions a day with people who are also giving up the same thing you are, your chances are so much better to sticking with it long term. In a nutshell, community matters, which is why we have this channel.
Show me your friends and I'll tell you your future. Like you are, I mean, Dr. Hampton was even sharing that recently on the low carb cruise, that you become the sum total of your 5 closest relationships. So if you're like, I am only surrounded all the time by people who absolutely love sugar, everything's about sugar and eating kind of wonky, it's really hard to go that different, right? And I mean, we say that as far as even like substance abuse when it comes to like drugs, alcohol, like a lot of it, to get off of it, you almost have to like kind of unplug from those relationships, right? And so my advice is, if you have people who are not, not keto, and they're friends that are not keto, and you're like, gosh, we spend a lot of time together. My advice would be start spending time together, not going out to restaurants or eating together. Shift those friendships to like activities that you might do.
And get involved in our Mighty Networks group. So members.2krazyketos.com. It's completely free. If you want to financially support our channel and our mission, you can join for a paid portion at $5, $10, or $25, but that's completely optional. 90% of what we do is completely free within Mighty Networks. And that's why we have it. It's for community. Community is so important. Again, you talk about, Rachel said, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. When we bought our last house, we really thought hard about it because we knew that our children would probably meet their spouses there. And so wherever you live is what they're going to be exposed to. So even choosing this, Caleb is coming with us, and we're like, hey, Caleb will probably meet his future spouse here. What kind of people are around here?
Right.
Am I moving to a place where I don't want to be involved with anybody? Or am I moving to a place where, as we're driving down the street, everybody is hi and hello? I'm learning that, and it's going to be great for us, that we got to slow down a little bit because everybody here works at a country pace.
Well, it's interesting.
And that's good for me. I need that.
It is, because whenever like Joe, I was talking to somebody recently about it, because Joe, you still have kind of that like New Yorker and certainly South Florida mentality that it's like, get to the heart of the conversation.
Busy. I gotta go.
I'm busy. And it's not just self-centered. I think that you're also like, hey, I don't want to waste any of your time, so I'm going to get right down to the question that I have for you. But like, we're finding, and mercifully so, that people are kind of like, hey, how is your day going? What's going on with you? How's your family? Like, you seem new to the area. Like, how are you?
Yesterday, I got that barbecue as we were driving through Wachula, which I know there were some comments that like it looked dry. It's just the way the photograph took it. It wasn't dry. It was really good. So anyway, I go in, and is this sweet little old lady. She's checking us out. I think she's the owner. I ordered my food, and then
and everything's made to order.
There's a lady comes in behind, and they haven't seen each other, and they're sitting there visiting. That's what we call it. But they're visiting. They're just catching up. Meanwhile, 15 people have lined up behind her.
You know how barbecue joints are.
And the owner is just like, nope, I'm going to visit for a while.
Yeah, and
it's normal here.
Okay, so since you brought up comments,
we got other stuff.
I know, but one of the things that came out was like, how dare you spotlight Florida barbecue, because Florida barbecue is like garbage. And my first response was, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, like, right. Like, I know North Carolina, South Carolina, like Texas, like that's where barbecue comes from. I'm sorry that I brought
a lot of the cattle comes from Florida.
And then I thought, wait a minute. It was good. I'm allowed to say when something is tasty, and I'm from Florida, so it's okay that I enjoyed it. So I was like, kiss my grits. I thought it was delicious barbecue.
Next one is from Brian.
Hey, Brian.
I just put my last CGM sensor on July 1st. The biggest shocker I'm seeing is that my numbers are jumping 30 to 40 points when I have a salty. Just using it in a seltzer water, but I didn't expect that. I will try Element next time and see what happens. I'm not saying it's not the salty, but I'm saying there's a good chance it's not. CGMs they're great, but they're super sensitive to dehydration, excess salt, not enough fluids, the way you lean on them, because they're measuring the fluid in your skin. So if you experience, and this is not just for salty, but this is for everything.
Hydration is changing.
If you experience like a jump on your CGM that you were not expecting, my suggestion would be to follow that up with a pinprick. Excuse me, with a blood prick to confirm on there, and usually do 2 or 3 of them. Make sure your hands are washed. But a lot of times it's not that, especially because here with salty, you're giving yourself a bunch of potassium, a bunch of sodium, and so that can affect the fluids in the interstitial fluid and give you a false reading. Because honestly, salty has got stevia and not a lot of it, and there's nothing in there that should be jumping your glucose up 30 to 40 points.
Well, and I like the fact that you're saying, like, don't be afraid to retest just like a couple times, because you're trying to get like the average. I loved how Dr. D'Agostino talked about whenever he goes to the doctor, he asks them to take his blood pressure, take things 3 times, because he knows that he has white coat hypertension. Basically, like, there's a nervousness that comes over him and an excitement that comes over him when he goes to the doctor, and he knows that that interaction is going to give him a false reading. So let him be able to take, you know, his readings and then take him a couple times as he like calms down in that appointment. So if you're in a doctor's appointment, you can ask to have that, you know, something like that done more than one time.
John wants to know, how far is the barbecue place from our new home? 30 minutes.
Hello. But that is just one. You can't swing a cat without hitting a barbecue joint.
I hate to even tell you, we're going to look at a used tractor today, and
I thought you'd say that out loud. That's a sentence I never thought my mouth would form.
We're going to be passing that place.
I see collards.
I got news for you. Even better than the barbecue was the collard greens.
The collard greens will buckle
Somebody
your knees.
ate the entire thing, and I didn't get hardly any.
I don't know who that was.
Next one is from Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
We're getting excited for the cruise. I'm curious if we need to sign up for any dinner options or excursions. If so, which ones? Also, what is a good discount in the refreshment package? We're looking forward to our first cruise. A little unsure of things, but excited. Okay, so for the 2KK getaway cruise, this is a community cruise. This is not speakers or anything like that. The focus is to hang out with each other. The only thing we're going to do is we are going to reserve a room where we can kind of hang out, but it's optional. It's just like we have it. On the first day, we'll try to all get together, introduce each other, but it's optional. Everything is optional. We eat dinner together if you want. Now, you can get a dining package and go up, but we will be in the main dining room. And everybody, we basically all sit together in a group, like it's like 8 to 10 people at a table. And that's the only thing we really do is, hey, we all eat together. And then after that, everybody just hangs out. You'll find large groups of people hanging out in the Windjammer. We'll like do karaoke. It's like, hey, we usually start a big group chat on the ship. Who's going to karaoke?
Right.
And you'll have like 20 of us taking over the karaoke room. We're going to the different entertainment events that are happening. Same thing with excursions. Now, as far as if you're buying a refreshment package or anything like that, my suggestion is buy it now, no matter what the price is. So go on, buy it. Usually the best price I ever see, if you're buying the refreshment package, not the soda package, not the alcohol package, the refreshment one where it includes specialty coffees, things like that, is about $25 a day. That would give you bottled water, soda, anything non-alcoholic other than Starbucks. But and then a soda package is $8 to $9 a day, but that only gives you fountain sodas. It doesn't give you like cans of soda or anything like that. But you want to buy it now. If you want to go on an excursion, buy it now, and then you watch the prices. Usually once a week, they change the prices. Wednesdays is usually. And then also on Black Friday, they'll have huge deals. If you find it lower later, you return it or basically cancel it and then rebuy it. You can do that as much as you want up till 4 days before the cruise. The reason I tell you buy it now is because it may be, say, $25 a day now, but the price can go up.
Right.
So sometimes they raise prices, sometimes they lower prices. So you lock in the price that they're offering now and then watch it. I've had things like we get the specialty dining on when we go on our own personal cruises or when we went on the low carb cruise. I've bought it and then canceled it like 5 times. When we started off on the low carb cruise, we started off at like $400 a piece, ended up at $200 a piece.
Now, keep in mind, if you're going to be doing things on Black Friday, that the way that you're like buying and returning it, it will take a minute for it to like return the money to you on your credit card. It's like returning something in a store. Like you're going to return it. It takes 2 or 3 days for that to get credited back to your credit card. But you rebuy it right away. Next one is from Pam. Hey, Pam.
What is the quick and easy food to take to a potluck that is not regret eating? Any casserole. Any
casserole that we have like on 2krazyketos.com under the drop down bar recipes. There's lots of stuff there that you can buy. Bring. And also, I really honestly like something like chili, because I can make a big giant vat of it.
And like, if there's leftovers, you can bring it home.
They won't be leftovers at the potluck, is our experience, because our chili is meat heavy. the beans and things that you, and extra stewed tomatoes and stuff that you put in like chili that you're used to, like standard American diet
Just
chili,
to bulk it.
is just to bulk it, is just filler food. So when you make keto chili, it doesn't have any of like the
Should make chili when we
bulkies.
get home.
I know. And so it's so delicious and it's so like flavorful and like hyper meaty and delicious that usually people who don't normally get access to that are like, they eat it up.
We're trying to empty out our freezer. We got a 5-pound block of beef. We should just defrost and make 5 pounds of chili.
I'm in agreement.
I did see Trish wanted to know, can you bring bottled water by the case onto the ship? So technically the rule is you can bring 12 16-ounce, or it's like 17-ounce, I think, bottles of water, bottled water, or cans of soda. You can bring 1 bottle of wine. You can't bring beer or other alcohol, but you can bring, like, we'll bring Celsius or bottled water or cans of soda. The technical rule is 12 per cabin.
Not per person, per cabin.
12 per cabin, or 1 bottle of wine per person. Okay. Adult, obviously.
So no 5-year-olds with a bottle of wine.
The rule is 12 per cabin.
Right.
What I'm going to say is this, and take this for what it's worth. It's got to be in your carry-on, or you can carry it through separately, like have a case of soda in your hand. You're going to go through security, like in Fort Lauderdale, just like the airport. You go through this screening thing. They have no idea when you're going through screening who's in what cabin.
Right.
So in my experience, I could put 12 cans in my bag and Rachel could put 12 bags in her bag.
Not that we would ever recommend you do that.
I'm just putting it out there that when you go through security,
yes,
they don't know who's in what cabin because they're not checking that. So you can do with that information
what you
want. Okay,
that's
you've
right.
got a face on.
I am
not saying break the rules.
Do not break the rules.
I'm not saying that either.
I'm
just saying what they know and don't know when you go through security, which is where they see that. Okay,
that's correct.
Next one is from Jamie.
Hey, Jamie.
I think many saying not all keto diets are on a proper human diet when someone asks about things like kidney failure. Because kidney failure isn't caused by keto. It's a myth. Go watch Dr. Berry's videos. Keto breads, for example, are not a proper human diet. 100% agree. Keto breads have no business in a keto diet. And keto breads, unless you are making it at home, like, for example, the egg white bread, keto breads you buy in a store are not a keto diet. Okay, now there's no such thing as a keto food. There's keto-friendly foods. But the breads that you're buying in the store that they're calling zero net carb breads, they're not keto friendly.
Take a look at the ingredients and the listing on the back, and you see that, gosh, it seems a lot like this is regular bread telling me it's not bread.
Right. Only a thought. I love you and hoping for your mama. Please let me know more about turmeric, as my hubs is all about it lately for better blood flow. So turmeric. Okay, so one of the things that we found with my mom, some of the cause of the bleeding is being on NSAIDs for her knee, for the arthritis, age, diet, and she also takes a lot of turmeric. Turmeric has some amazing health benefits. Cognitive function, helps with inflammation, it can help with brain health. Like, there's a lot of benefits to turmeric. Unless you have gallstones, I would avoid turmeric, especially turmeric itself. Now, I'm using a little bit of turmeric for flavoring in your food is one thing. I'm talking about a lot of people take turmeric as a supplement. Like, you can buy turmeric capsules. This is when you're taking a lot of it.
But some people are making these drinks that they drink every single day with like a crap ton of turmeric.
Yeah, it can cause issues with gallstones if you have gallstones. But one of the things, like you're saying, it's helping them for better blood flow because it affects clotting.
Right.
And so when you look at my mom, she's already got a history of bleeding because she had colon cancer in 2001. So you have that and the NSAIDs, and when you combine that, so she's got a bleed going on, and then she's taking turmeric, which prevents clotting.
Right.
And so that is where you have to be careful. So if you've got a history of bleeding, like intestinal and colon bleeding, it's something you want to think about. If you've got a history of bleeding issues in itself, like You like your mom, where before keto, your mom would just like start bleeding from her varicose veins. You want to avoid turmeric there because the turmeric is going to stop the clotting and cause the bleeds to just continue.
Right.
And again, we are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals.
No, but
it's something to
and
be
you know what?
thinking about.
It makes sense to think about what is my routine every single day, because we live these days out. What do they say? Like the days are long but the years are short. And so what is your daily routine every single day? Well, it adds up. When I was drinking 2 pots of coffee, I was living that out by the day. But when you would be like 2 pots of coffee per day times 365 days in a year times 20 years of me doing it, you can see that things add up. So it's always good to just take a look at like, what is your daily routine and how is it going to affect you long term?
Next one is from Hospi.
Hey, Hospi.
One keto doc said my protein should be 69 grams. Another says 132. If they aren't sure, how can I be sure? Again, not doctors, nurses, or health professionals, but I've done a lot of research and I've talked to a lot of people. My personal opinion, 69 is too low. Everybody should be eating a minimum of 100 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
The older you get, the more you need. And the problem is the older you get, the more you need, but the harder it is for you to consume it.
Right.
And that's where products like Keto Chow can help. So like they want to give my mom Ensure. They say go home, eat protein, but then also tack on Ensure, which is loaded with sugar. So she's going to use Keto Chow. If Dr. Barry has talked about this, our friend Jonathan, we've talked about this. If you want a bare minimum, and if you look at the video that Jonathan did that we put up where he's talking about from the low carb cruise, he gives you 3 different ways to give you a bare minimum. If you want a bare minimum, take your current body weight, convert it to kilograms. And whatever that number is, that is the absolute bare minimum. And I'm going to tell you, it's almost definitely not enough protein. It's almost definitely not enough protein. Again, the older you get, the more you need because you're losing your muscle mass. So you need more protein. You're losing your muscle mass. It all plays in together. 100 grams of protein should be your bare minimum for everybody. Whether you're 5 foot, you're 7. If you're 7 foot, you need probably 200.
Way more
300.
Protein.
But for everybody, the bare minimum should be 100. It's not going to hurt you if you overeat it unless you're not eating fat. So if you stay between 100 and 132, that's going to be a good range. Eating a little bit more, the eating more protein comes into play if you eat too much when you're not eating enough fat.
I had great uncles that were over 7 feet tall.
Nice. Next one's from Kathleen.
Hey, Kathleen.
I have a friend who takes me grocery shopping. Sometimes she eats the standard American diet and mentions many times how her doctor would never let her eat keto. She should be in charge of her own health care.
This also sounds like
when we go shopping, I feel judged by her if I fill my cart with meat, especially beef. So always have to do a grocery delivery the next day. Another thing she does is call me on the phone and always steers the conversation to my diet. Something new just happened. She started watching Dr. Barry. Before, she always implied none of the doctors on YouTube were real doctors.
Wow.
I like your persistence.
I do too.
We have a bunch of comments and we only have like 3 minutes left, so I want to get to them. But I just want to say I'm proud of you.
Yes.
And if she continues that kind of stuff, just don't go grocery shopping with her.
Well, I was going to say, or just have a, polite conversation. Just say like, you're not invited into this area of my life. Yeah. Like I want to, and I mean, that I
want to be a friend.
I want to be your friend, but not in this area. And I will say that some of the things that she's kind of like, there's no possible way I could do it. No one would allow me to do it. It can't be done for me. I think is a dialogue that she's actually having with herself to like excuse herself from trying something and seeing if it benefits her like it's benefited you.
And just to let you know, there's a good chance you won't be the person to get her to keto.
No.
It's going to be Dr. Barry or somebody else, and we have to accept that.
Yeah.
Next one is from John.
Hey, John.
Your meal shorts are perfect. We get a quick look at how you're doing keto, and it gives us ideas to improve meal variety.
Thanks, John.
I think the short format is better than a day's worth of eating because you don't really eat often anymore. Mm-hmm. The last one was great, but I tuned in for a day of keto eating and got an episode of House Hunters hosted by 2KK. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that, John. Yeah, it's challenging because like you're saying, like we don't eat as often. And I don't think that we have like meals where
It's boring.
it's not as interesting what we eat. So yeah, I feel like doing shorts just in the moment and just taking that time to say like, hey, here's what I'm eating. If it's different, that's cool. Like I got a really great response back from some of you guys about the Cornish game hen,
Right.
that it wasn't something that you normally ate. And like, they were glad to see something different that I ate. It's inexpensive, that sort of thing. So thanks so much.
JJ, thank you for being a member for 12 months.
Thank
This community makes a
you.
huge difference in my life.
Wow, you make a huge difference in our life, JJ.
Next one's from Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Said, your meal shorts are perfect. We get
thanks.
a quick look at how you're doing keto, and it gives us ideas to improve. Oh, wait, that's the one I just read, isn't it?
Did you? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's weird.
Well, sorry, we got that one wrong.
Yep. Next one's from Rocket Scientist.
Hey, Rocket Scientist.
Just hearing your answers to questions in this video made me subscribe. You both really are on point and understand keto, ketovore, and protein-based lifestyles.
Wow.
Good luck on your newest projects. Many thanks to all your hard work for spreading the word for good health.
Thank you so much.
Next one is from Andrea.
Hey, Andrea.
I watched your previous video on looking at the properties. You definitely picked the right one from what I can see. As far as content on building a project, I would love to see your journey. I think channels that focus on only one thing can be boring. For community, people like to know what's going on in their friends' lives.
Thank you. We will try our very best to balance it so that if you are somebody that's like just looking for the keto information, you won't be totally like, oh, what is this?
So as we begin doing all of the work on the house next month, some of it will be in like full day of eating kind of vlog kind of things, because I think it all plays in together, and we'll give you little snippets of what's going on. Especially how it impacts our health, how our diet's impacting the amount of work that we need to do, and the functional fitness that we will be doing. But we have decided we're going to start a third channel, which I cannot believe I'm going to do. But that is literally going to just be about the renovation of the house, as well as all of the work that needs to be done on the property. And then as we turn it into like a mini hobby farm, I don't know what the channel is going to be called, but we have named our hobby farm.
Yes, which is the Double K Ranch. How cute is that, right? Double K Ranch. Very, very excited about that. Of course, we will, have a little logo made for that
at some point.
Definitely something that we're gonna post at the front of our property even.
Next one's from John.
Hey, John.
Said we would watch a 2KK homestead since we are DIYing our lake house in Texas. We're also keto. Love your recipes. We're also DIYing a Class C RV.
Wow.
So keep putting out all of the information you can.
You.
Like y'all, we're doing it for the kids and the grandkids.
Yes.
I think we need to live to 100 to finish all of the projects.
John, you are so right. Like, we're just going to have to live to 100 because there's just too much work to be done. Changing the world one ribeye at a time is a lot of work, Joe.
And we're going to be doing a lot, including adding like 15,000 watts of solar, because our plan is to run the house mostly off of solar, as well as all of the outbuildings. Like, we're going to build the studio so that we can get the studio out of our house. That will be 100% solar and battery powered. So like, there will be a lot of things on there.
You better just keep growing these muscles, Joe.
Next one's from Cheryl.
Hey, Cheryl.
I have high blood pressure. My sodium is always low since I've been doing electrolytes. One of my BP meds causes me to get rid of sodium. Yeah, that's something my mother experienced. And then again, read the book, The Salt Fix. So go get the book, The Salt Fix, and read it. And you will see that a lot of times when you have high blood pressure, we have low sodium. And my mom is now experiencing that as she consumes more sodium, her blood pressure is coming down.
Right.
Like, it's complete opposite of what we've been taught. But we've demonized like the wrong white crystal. And
she actually, you would watch it because you're in the hospital, you're in ICU, you're completely like connected to all of these things, and you would see that like she would have to like lower or raise blood pressure medicine with every like interaction of electrolytes. It was incredible.
And if you're consuming electrolytes and it's still low, you're not consuming enough electrolytes. On average, we need about 4,000 to 5,000 milligrams of sodium a day.
Sounds like a scary number.
But then most people look at the RDA and it says like 2,500. But here's the thing, that RDA, people think that's how much you're supposed to have. That's not what that number is. The recommended daily allowance is the minimum.
Right.
It's not how much you're supposed to have. It's the minimum.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's healthy. It's the minimum. And that's the problem, is we confuse what is the minimum. Like, Can you survive on eating just high protein with low fat? Yes.
Yes.
Is that the healthiest way? No.
Is survival what you're aiming for?
Right. Like grains. Like, so we will get people as Christians, they'll come back, well, let's look in the Bible. They stockpiled grains for the famine.
It was a famine.
Because you'll survive, but it doesn't mean it was healthy.
It does not mean it's great.
Right.
Just because it makes you live.
If you're starving enough, as Dr. Berry says, you'll eat your shoe.
Yeah, you'll eat a boot.
Right. So,
which today I'm locked in Barry's barn.
Grains will technically keep you alive, but they won't keep you healthy. And that's something that we have to look at.
There's a big difference between living and thriving.
Next one is from Selin.
Hey, Selin.
Is a Ninja blender strong enough to make the egg pudding smooth? I can't afford a Vitamix. Yes. You just need a high-powered blender and let it keep going.
Patience.
When you think you've run it long enough, run it longer.
Yeah, because that's the challenge, that people get bored in the waiting. If it's grainy,
you didn't run it long enough.
Wait.
Yep. Last one before we get to the comments. I love this one from Jamie. I know Jamie already put one, but we had to put this one. Joseph, have you met your wife? You will have a goat or 5 in a few weeks. They will actually help you keep the weeds and bramble down. So we actually won't have goats. We're getting sheep. We already know what kind of, we want hair sheep. We're not getting them right away, but we have done a lot of research on this. We're going to get we're going to start off with sheep where they've already been weaned from mom.
Right.
And basically you raise them to raise them to slaughter weight.
Yeah.
And then slaughter them.
To get started.
Or sell them, because that's half of the hard work is the beginning. And then later on when you'd have to shear them. But hair sheep don't have to be sheared. But that's a 7-month thing. And I think that's a good place to start before we start like raising babies and things like that. She wants to go to a cattle auction today. We have ixnayed that in exchange for going to look at tractors, because we don't have the land yet. And if I take her to a cattle auction, she will try to buy a baby cow.
Jamie knows.
Jamie is completely right.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
The one thing I said I want, and she said, no, I can't have, is pigs. But eventually we're going to have pigs. We'll put them in the back corner of the property. But like bacon.
I mean, I know. I will trade some goats for bacon. How about that?
Karen, let's jump into the chat. Karen, thank you for becoming a 2KK supporter.
Thank you.
Joanna said, I had a conversation with a young man in Dollar Tree about pink salt. He said his mom does keto and pays so much for it elsewhere. Told him the stuff at the store, 1 pound for $1.25. They told hhim about red mints.
That's awesome.
Yeah, here's the thing. If you are currently buying your pink salt in local stores, most likely it's not real Himalayan pink salt. Most of the pink salt that you buy here in the United States is fake. What I mean it's fake is they're taking regular salt, they're coloring it pink, and then calling it pink salt.
You can find out if it actually is by seeing, like, put it in some water and
is there mineral, like when it dissolves, is there minerals in the bottom? The other thing is, I'm not saying Himalayan pink salt's not good, but if you're in the United States, it's not the best option. If you live in the United States, Himalayan pink salt is not the best option. Why? It's not local. It's from the Himalayas. First of all, let's not even get into the mining practices and the possibility of using children for mining. It's one of the reasons people are going to lab-grown diamonds, is because of the mining practices for diamonds. So we'll get into that. Then we'll get into how far does it have to travel, the pollution that it takes to go from there to here. What is it exposed to? When you look at Redmond, we have several videos on Redmond, including 2 trips to the mine. Redmond salt is a couple of miles, it's like well below the earth, never been exposed to the elements, never been exposed to all of the emissions, all of the toxins in the air. It's way down below the ground, and it's local. It only has to travel across the country, not halfway around the world. So if you live in the United States, the sodium that you should be consuming is from local sources, mineral salt. Yes, there's other ones in Redmond. Redmond is, I think, the best one, especially because of the company practices. But there are other ones. But you should be consuming mineral salt from underground salt deposits here in the United States, because that's where we live. And this is not a support the United States. This is, you want local. It's going to have the minerals that you need as someone who lives in the United States.
You live in the Himalayas, then yes, buy local.
Tony said testing showed I'm highly sensitive to catamorphins, but not to cow's milk, butter, and cheese. How is that possible? That means I'm not supposed to eat any dairy, because when you're making cheese, when you're making yogurt and butter, well, first of all, cheese is basically aged and you have bacteria eating up the sugars. And again, it comes down to, that's why cheese can last for a long time. It's basically mold, right? You're exposing it to mold. Butter's had the milk proteins removed. So a lot of times somebody could be allergic or have milk sensitivities, but they can still have butter.
Right.
And then even if they can't have butter, they can almost always have ghee, because ghee has all of the milk solids removed from it. So that is actually pretty normal. In my opinion, I don't really consider butter a dairy product, because again, you've got your milk proteins and all of that has been removed. And certainly it's the same thing with ghee. So that's a complete normal thing.
Yeah.
Trish said, how close is your nearest hotel to your new ranch? For those of us who don't tow our homes around with us. There's a Holiday Inn here.
Yeah,
about 10 minutes away.
We looked at, there was like what are those the night one, but it looks kind of seedy, to be honest. The Holiday Inn looks
the Holiday
nicest.
Inn is, your mom said, because we have family here, or Rachel has family
so
here.
Mommy has come
her mom
to
comes
stay,
here a lot and would stay there when she wasn't
so not
staying.
to inconvenience our family.
Yeah, so, and she said the Holiday Inn is really nice. Now, eventually, unless somebody wants to graciously donate one, eventually we'll put a tiny home in the back, and then we can have friends come stay in the tiny home. As a matter of fact, I know that Walt Disney World was selling off some of the cabins from Fort Wilderness for not a bad price, $50,000, sleep 6, kitchen and everything, but they're sold out.
Because that would have been cool, right?
That would have been cool. It's ready-made, drop it on. It came fully furnished and everything for 6 people.
I can't.
Again, our goal is a retreat. It's just funny.
That's almost the same price as if you go into Fort Wilderness for the day.
I know, right? We have a whole video about that. Don't get me started on that.
That was prodding.
Jenna said, family, you peeps have a wonderful, happy day. Got to get back to watching Wimbledon. Great match happening right now.
How neat.
I missed my thing at home. Joanna said, Dr. Bailey simplifies it by saying that people, when they start keto, is bad. How is eating real foods bad for me?
Right.
Love how simple that is.
So
Plus,
true.
I love the blank look you get.
That is very true. When someone is trying to make the case that it's like what you're eating is so bad, and you look at them and you're like, tell me why you absolutely must have this packaged product that 20 years ago or 50 years ago did not exist. Like, tell me how we survived the Middle Ages without Lay's potato chips. Like, tell me why you absolutely need like packaged rice in order to live, when there was plenty of times that people, if they didn't have access to it, live without it. Like, it's obviously, it was funny. My grandmother, like, the most she had of like access to pasta was like little tiny like elbow macaroni. I can never remember my grandmother making spaghetti, like ever. Right. The entire time I knew her, it was just not something that was like part of their cuisine. They would make like okra, tomato into like a stew, and then use elbow macaroni noodles to stretch it out, because you've got a very poor widow woman that's trying to feed 7 children in the middle of the Great Depression. Okay, you got to stretch food. That's not how you want to eat all the time, but that's how you stretch food. But it's like when people are like, well, I have to have spaghetti, or I have to have these certain things. No, you clearly do not.
Right.
People are surviving without it.
Kay Rose said, regarding protein, what info do you have regarding having cancer? Less protein. Again, we're not doctors, nurses, or health professionals. Without stating a medical opinion.
We do not have a medical opinion.
If you have cancer, how about this? If I
like
was diagnosed with cancer,
yes,
I would be eating a very high fat, moderate protein. Still want your protein, because again, you're going to lose muscle. So you want at least 100 grams of protein.
This is a battle for your body.
But I would be eating a very high fat, very minimalistic food diet, trying to keep my ketones over 3. I would not be consuming any type of keto packaged product, even ones we love, unless you got into a situation where you're having a hard time eating, where that's where keto
Yeah,
chat
you
comes
need a
into play,
liquid
because it
diet.
could really help. But I would be trying to eat as whole food, which you should be anyway, but keeping those ketones really high. Most forms of cancer feed off of sugar.
So you want those
So
carbs down to
when you
nothing.
deny your body the sugar, it can starve out the cancer. And so because of that, that is what I would eat. And there's lots of people who've had issues with cancer, and things have gotten better when they went to a strict keto or carnivore lifestyle. One example would be Beth. There's also Logan Sneed. So there's lots of things out there. I have not had cancer, thank you God, and I don't plan on getting cancer. But if I was in that situation, that's what I would be doing. I would be trying to keep my ketones as high as possible. And that is where I would also be utilizing some exogenous ketones to make sure that my ketones were kept up, but not eating anything on the standard American diet, avoiding all seed oils, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Jenna wants to know, have we tried the carnivore bars? Oh yeah, we have lots of
We
videos on the carnivore bars.
carnivore bars.
We also have a video on how to make your own.
Yeah,
we really do enjoy them. They are expensive. We have a discount code down below.
But I like tasty things.
And
sometimes they're a little bougie.
Okay. We got to get off, but I have to bring this up.
Yes.
So you put a short up.
I did.
Eating a honey.
I got the honey barbecue carnivore bar.
Yes. And so there were some comments back. Why are you eating honey? We had the bars.
Yeah.
Yes, honey will raise your glucose. But Rachel is also past trying to lose weight, is more in, I hate the word maintenance, but maintenance stage. She's dealing with some hormonal issues where the honey may actually help her. But she's not trying to lose weight. Honey is a whole food. Now, I am not telling you to go out and eat honey. Not telling you that, okay?
No.
Rachel's not putting honey in oatmeal. She's not putting honey in her tea or her coffee.
No.
She ate a carnivore bar that had some honey in it, which totaled, 6 or 7 total carbohydrates. But Rachel just got all her blood work done because she's doing some new protocols. And she's got, what was your insulin? It was like 4? Fasting insulin was like 4?
It was amazing.
Right? Like,
thank you, Lord.
Her HDL to triglyceride ratio is like a 3. I mean, it's like, her HDL is higher than many people's like total cholesterol. Okay?
Yeah.
So she is metabolically healthy, but she has some hormonal things that she's trying to deal with right now. And so she may have to incorporate a sweet potato or something like that. We're waiting to see. We're talking to some experts.
And when I do change things or do things like specific for me, I will share that with you guys.
But it doesn't mean it's for you.
But it doesn't mean that it is for you. And I would say that if you are new to keto and you are like me coming to keto, now remember, this was 6 years ago I started keto. So my battle with my sweet tooth is kind of like I haven't slayed every giant, but that is a giant that I really am thankful that I'm past, because I really don't need sweet flavors every single day for me to be happy. So when we first started keto, I would say minimize your interaction with anything sweet, even if it's stevia or monk fruit, like anything sweet. If you're like, gosh, I really can't be trusted with anything sweet right now in my life, go ahead and minimize that. But it's not something like, I am honestly going to be more dangerous with a jar of macadamia nuts than I am with a drop of honey.
I mean, listen, if you're eating carnivore and the only thing you're adding into, if you're eating all meat all day long and then you're consuming
like a blueberry or something that's got a sweet,
that's not that bad.
It's still a whole ingredient.
Now, if you're just doing keto and you're trying to still work on your blood sugars and weaning off of diabetes, you shouldn't be anywhere near the honey one.
No.
But we got the mixture box.
Yeah, we get the, I buy the pack.
And so if it's got in there, usually we give those to Peyton.
But you can.
But if we have one, Rachel's going to eat it.
Yeah, because
so before we get off,
there's also like zesty garlic and salted, and you can buy just the flavors you want.
Yep. Before we get off, Carrie had a question,
Carrie.
said, I'd love to join the 2KK cruise. My husband and I have cruised before on Carnival. My husband has a hard time walking and is afraid to cruise. And he suggested you can rent a scooter.
Yes, you
and
can.
so I can, as a travel agent, can show you a couple of different companies, but they will bring it right to the port for you. And it'll be, you can pick it up right at the port or on the ship for you. So, and it's not really super expensive. You can bring your own if you have the smaller ones, but you can rent a scooter and it's not really expensive. It's not like Disney World prices.
Where's the best place to message you for that?
Just email me at 2kktravel@gmail.com, or if you sign up for the cruise and just like tell me and I can tell you where to go. Okay, we are going to get off.
We have an auction, a cattle auction to go to.
We're not going to the cattle auction. No, we're not going to the cattle auction. Why do you want to go to a cattle auction?
Why do you think I want to go to a cattle auction?
We're not. We've already agreed. Shake on this. We've already agreed that we will start off with sheep rumen because lamb is good food.
Unless we see a really cute cow.
Here's the thing about raising sheep is like, especially here in Florida, you never have to buy feed.
What you don't want to take me to is the small animal auction that they also have. That's a separate one. They have like a cow one, and then they have a small animal one, because then you've got quail, you've got chickens, you've got rabbits, you've got goats, you've got sheep.
If you tried to raise rabbits for food, your sister-in-law will kill you.
I know, that's true.
Guys, we will be back on Thursday live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, and we will also, don't forget to miss, we'll be on for the live chat.
Don't forget to miss it?
Don't forget to not miss the live chat and the premiere of episode 7 of RV. You're not going to want to miss
Don't miss it.
Oh my gosh, especially our behind the scenes that comes out on Thursday or Friday. You are not going to want to miss that one at all. We did some stupid but really funny things. We went a little crazy. We'll see everybody on Thursday. Have a good night.
We love you.
Bye.